the river's heart. In a quiet valley surrounded by mountains, the people of the village believed in the power of the river that ran through their land. They called it Mara's Vein, a shimmering, silvery stream that never dried up, even in the hottest summers. The villagers told stories about how the river was alive, a guardian spirit that watched over them. But these were just tales, at least that's what most people thought. What they didn't know was that the stories were true. Mara, the spirit of the river, had lived for centuries. She took the form of a woman with flowing silver hair, her skin pale and glimmering like moonlight on water. Her eyes mirrored the deep blues and greens of the river she guarded, and her voice was as soft as the whisper of the current. Though bound to the river, Mara could walk along its banks in the evenings, blending with the mist and shadows. She watched the villagers from afar, curious about their lives but hesitant to get too close. A new arrival. One summer, Mara noticed a young man working in the fields near her banks. He was new to the valley, a traveler who had come to help his uncle, a farmer whose land bordered the river. The young man's name was Noah. He was tall and strong, with sun-kissed skin and a warm, infectious laugh that carried across the fields. Mara found herself drawn to him, watching as he worked tirelessly during the day and rested by the river in the evenings. If you like the story, comment.
Please share the story,
share and follow me for
comment,
more
comment,
interesting
dot,
story.
and like.
Come again tomorrow for another interesting story. One night, unable to resist her curiosity, Mara emerged from the water as Noah sat by the riverbank. She shimmered in the moonlight, her form ethereal and otherworldly. At first, Noah thought she was a trick of the light, but when she spoke, her voice like a gentle current, he knew she was real. "Why do you come to the river every evening?" Mara asked, her head tilted with curiosity. Noah blinked, startled, but he didn't feel fear. There was something comforting about her presence. "It's peaceful here," he said. "The river feels alive, like it's listening." Mara smiled. "Perhaps it is." From that night, Mara and Noah began to meet regularly. She would emerge from the water, and they would talk for hours under the stars. Mara told him about the history of the valley, how the river had shaped the land and the life it brought to the people. Noah shared stories of his travels, his dreams of building a life in the valley, and his love for the simple beauty of nature. A growing bond. As the days turned to weeks, Mara found herself yearning for Noah's presence more and more. She began to feel emotions she had never known. Joy when she saw him, a strange fluttering when he smiled, and a deep ache when he wasn't near. She realized she was falling in love, something she had never thought possible for a being like herself. Noah, too, found himself enchanted by Mara, her voice, her laughter, the way her presence seemed to bring the world to life. Everything about her felt magical, but he couldn't ignore the truth. She wasn't human. She belonged to the river, a part of the natural world that he could never truly claim. One evening, as they sat by the water's edge, Noah finally spoke the words that had been weighing on his heart. "Mara, I don't know if it's right for me to love you. You're more than human, and I'm just a man." Mara looked at him, her luminous eyes filled with something that could only be described as longing. "I never thought I could love, Noah, but with you, I feel whole. Isn't that what love is meant to be?" Noah took her hand, his warmth meeting her cool touch. "It is," he said softly, "and I don't care what you are. To me, you're everything." Trouble in the village. Word of Noah's late-night meetings by the river began to spread through the village. The farmers whispered about strange lights and sounds by the water, and some claimed they had seen a ghostly figure emerging from the river. Fear and suspicion took hold, and the villagers began to speak of the old stories, the tales of the river spirit. "She's dangerous," one villager said. "If she's real, she'll bring ruin to our land." Noah tried to defend Mara, but the villagers wouldn't listen. They believed the river spirit was a threat, something unnatural that needed to be banished. They planned to drive her away, using fire and steel to break her bond with the river. Mara, sensing the growing hostility, warned Noah, "They will come for me." she said. "I can feel their anger." "No," Noah said firmly. "I won't let them hurt you. We'll leave this place together." Tears glimmered in Mara's eyes, falling like droplets of silver. "I cannot leave the river, Noah. It is my home, my heart. If I go too far, I will fade." The sacrifice. When the villagers came with torches and weapons, Noah stood between them and the river. "You don't understand," he shouted. "She's not a threat. She's the reason the river flows. Without her, the valley will die." But the villagers were too consumed by fear to listen. They hurled stones and shouted curses, driving Mara back into the water. Desperate to protect her, Noah ran into the river, standing by her side. "Please," he whispered to Mara, "there must be a way." Mara's heart ached as she looked at him, knowing what she had to do. "There is one way," she said, her voice trembling, "but it will cost me everything." Before Noah could protest, Mara stepped forward, her form beginning to dissolve into the water. Her voice echoed like a song carried by the current. "I give myself to the river, so it may continue to flow. Noah, my love, you have shown me what it means to truly live. I will always be with you, in every ripple, every wave." As her body faded, the river glowed with a brilliant light, and a calm fell over the valley. The villagers watched in awe as the water surged with newfound life, clear and pure as never before. They realized then that the river spirit had not been their enemy, but their savior. A love eternal. Though Mara was gone, Noah felt her presence in the river. He spent his days tending the land and his nights by the water, speaking to her as if she could still hear him. And in the gentle rush of the current, the soft murmur of the waves, he believed she was answering. The valley thrived, its fields green and its people prosperous. The villagers came to respect the river, leaving offerings by its banks and telling stories of Mara, the spirit who had given her heart to protect them. And though Noah's love could never be fully reunited with him, he carried her memory in his heart, knowing that she would always be with him, flowing through the river, eternal and